Hi there, Marina here of Lead Yourself. A huge welcome to this online class. I'm really honoured that you're here, so thank you and congratulations. So in this online class, I'm going to give you 3 really powerful ways to overcome short-term and long-term stress and anxiety and start to move towards a life you really love, where you just can't wait to wake up and enjoy being alive. So I'm going to get started straight away. I want you to get lots of value from this class, so do listen carefully, take notes if you can, and then later on I've got a way where I can answer all your questions for free as well, so stay tuned for that. I want you to be able to walk away from this online class with some great tools that you can start to use and implement straight away in your life. So I'm going to switch to some slides now, so you'll have visuals and then with my voice in the background. So see you there. So here we are, and as I said, welcome to this class where you will learn how to overcome both short and long-term or chronic stress and anxiety so it never affects you again, and achieve vibrant happiness and well-being instead. So let me ask you, what if you could wake up every morning actually looking forward to the day ahead, knowing you could handle whatever comes your way? Or would you love to have the space, freedom and peace of mind to really enjoy every minute of living your life? And by that I mean a feeling of peace inside, like inner space perhaps, where you're free of that incessant mental chatter or noise, the worried thoughts and fearful niggles that plague us. Well, guess what? You're in the right place. So who is this for, this webinar? Have you felt stressed or anxious for more than a few months? Perhaps you worry about things that could happen, but are quite unlikely really, such as perhaps what if I lose my job and can't get another one? I'll be homeless, or I'll be destitute, or perhaps I'm going to die an alcoholic under a bridge, but you don't even drink. Do you find your life is limited by fear, such that it really interferes with you doing things that you'd love to do? Do you find yourself having uncomfortable or fearful thoughts and feelings, and you just want to regain control of your mind, or like your mental or emotional well-being? Who this is not for? Well, like I said earlier, stress and anxiety are perfectly normal in some situations. So you might get very stressed or anxious at work, but then you wind down in the evening or at the weekend. In that case, anxiety per se may not be the problem for you, and you may not need to focus on that right now. If you're experiencing or have recently experienced a stressful life event, such as the breakup of a relationship, bereavement, money problems, redundancy, or change of job, these things can cause stress in the short term, and it can be quite normal to feel stressed for maybe a couple of months afterwards. But as the incoming stressful situation fades, the feelings of stress and anxiety often fade on their own. So if it's still quite fresh, then the stress may go away with time. And of course, you can always come back here later if you need to. Anxiety usually is considered a problem if it's been ongoing 5 or 6 months. So if you've had stress or anxiety for longer than that, like ongoing, then now might be the time. But less than that, possibly not. If you're convinced your anxiety is outside your control and you want someone to say, "Oh, poor you," like someone who understands how awful it is for you. Now look, nice as it may be sometimes to have sympathy like that, it's not going to help you put anxiety in the past and live a great life. That's what's possible, and that's what I want for you. So I just want to be really kind of straight here. This isn't a bit of counselling and sympathy to make you feel a bit better. This is giving you real tools that you need to overcome this for good. Move on and live a life where fear just doesn't hold you back anymore. So why am I doing this? Well, I'm looking for like-minded individuals who really want to take their well-being into their own hands and move forward into a completely new place. What determines your results in any area of life is how much effort you put in. You don't really have to know how to do it. Just have the will. Live a life of their own design, so you say how your life goes and take back control for yourself. Achieve peace of mind for the rest of their life. And get back the zest and enjoyment and the fun of life. Is that you? We'll see. In the next 45 minutes, I'm going to show you 3 powerful things that will be really useful to you in overcoming anxiety and in creating a life that really excites you, a life that makes you eager to get up every day and just get on with living it. So the first lesson is really important. You know, all those worries and problems of life, they just keep coming back and back into your mind. It's like no matter what you do, they're there robbing you of peace of mind. And we think if only I didn't have these problems, everything would be okay. So this lesson is critical so you can see what's really behind that. And then I'll show you how you can regain control of your mind and stop these things plaguing you and find peace of mind. The second lesson, if you beat yourself up a lot or resent or blame yourself, like most of us, this actually underpins stress or anxiety and keeps it in place. It's probably something you've always done. And then I'll show you how to turn that around. Then the third part will cover something that will literally transform your life if you start to implement it. It will reduce both short-term stress and long-term anxiety. And it's so simple, so easy, and yet so key to overcoming your anxiety, you've probably been overlooking it all this time. So this is also a really important lesson I'll be teaching. Now, it's taken me 16 years to be with you today. So I started in 2001 mentoring young people who had lost their way either at school or after they left school, helping them build confidence and overcome blockages in their lives. After that, I spent about 5 years working with community groups, coaching, training and building up their ability to accomplish things in their community. Then since 2013, I've been coaching and training people on overcoming stress, anxiety and depression. And this was following my own mental health journey in 2009 and 10. So in January 2009, I had 3 stressful events all at once. The end of a long-term relationship, a change of job, and moving house. And I didn't just move house, I moved to a completely different part of the country where I didn't even know one person. So you can imagine it was quite a roller coaster. Now, as you'll see, people can begin to suffer from mental health problems in many ways. One way is by stressful life events. And after these events, the anxiety sometimes goes away on its own, but not always. And that's what happened with me. So my mental well-being and mood just went downhill and continued to get steadily worse for over 2 years. What that time was like would probably take me hours and hours to recount. But very briefly, my life was literally run by anxious, depressed or angry thoughts. All day, every day. I just lived inside self-criticism, paranoid thoughts, worries, fears, regret, loneliness and self-hatred. So you can imagine turning myself around from this was a real challenge as I let myself get so bad. I didn't realise that I had control over my feelings and well-being all along. But what I learnt from this experience was that at any point, a person can say enough is enough and make the decision to change. And it's the decision which is the hardest part. Once that decision is made, it gets much easier. And that's why I decided to make my life about showing others that it's possible for them too. Because I discovered It was when I took responsibility for my own mental and emotional well-being that I began to feel better. And everyone can do that. So there are limitations to the current system, and that's not in any way a criticism. It's just that doctors are trained in physical illness. They will often use drugs, which is a physical treatment for mental or emotional difficulties. And drugs do work. They just don't usually tackle the root cause of the problem. And they can also lead to long-term drug use, which is now becoming a real problem in the Western world. So with all of that background and personal experience, I'm well placed to be offering you this session. Now, I'm not a doctor or medical professional, and I don't recommend anything or tell you what to do. I work with you to enable anxiety to disappear from your life. So there's nothing for sale today, absolutely nothing for sale today. This is an online class, and I want to deliver some great content for you. Then, at the end, I'll have a very special gift for you that will get all your questions answered for free, okay? Now, I'm keeping that gift to the end because I don't want people who are just going to come on for a couple of minutes and then go, I think I'll go and watch some TV or whatever. You know, you're welcome to do that, of course. But I want to reach people who are committed to themselves and say, I want to take my life in a different direction now. So if you're happy to hang on till the end of this short online class, then I've got a gift. It's worth £120, and that will be my gift to you. So are you doing things the hard way? Do you worry about what people think of you? Are you sometimes beset by thoughts and worries you seem to have no control over? Do you find it hard to relax or be inactive? Does it sometimes interfere with your sleep? Do you doubt yourself or doubt your decisions? Well, it doesn't have to be this way. So let me tell you about the easier way, where you have peace of mind, where you're able to relax completely. You can deal confidently with whatever comes up. You can trust yourself and trust your decisions. You can move forward in areas where you feel stuck at the moment and just feeling positive about your life. So look, results aren't typical, okay? What I'm going to show you are not typical. I don't know you, how motivated you are, or how well you can implement what I teach. Most people don't even get around to doing what I teach. That's just human nature, right? So any results that I talk about here are not typical. It takes effort, persistence. You know this, right? With anything in life, you get out what you put in. Remember when I said that what made the difference for me was taking control of my well-being? Well, that's exactly what will determine your results too. So I'm in no way promising as to what you will get. I can only show you what I've done, what I'm doing, what my students have done, and their results are proof that this system works. But from your point of view, you've got to make it work for you. I'm not here to do miracles on people who aren't interested. So first, I want to give you something really important. And this is the real reason why your mind keeps chewing over things. Because sometimes it feels like our worries and problems have a mind of their own, doesn't it? They play on our minds and just destroy our peace of mind. So this part will really open up why we do that. And then I'll show you what you can do to stop that cycle. This will show you that there's really nothing wrong with you. Your brain is actually working very well. So for this one, I'm going to get to look behind the scenes at stress and anxiety. Where do they come from? And why do we get anxious in the first place? So I'll start with a story. It was a hot August day in 1963, and Martin Luther King gave a historic speech which has gone down in history as one of the most important speeches ever made. That was Washington, and on the same day in New York, Richard Robles, a long-time burglar, was busy breaking into an apartment on the swanky Upper East Side. So the apartment was the home of two young career girls, Janice Wiley, editor of Newsweek, and Emily Hoffert, who was a school teacher. Robles was already on parole, but determined to go straight and stay out of prison. So this was just one last little job just to get some money together to provide for his girlfriend and their small daughter. However, he was surprised because Janice Wiley was at home. So he threatened her with a knife and tied her up. Then, just as he was leaving, Emily Hoffert also came home. So he tied her up too. But while he was doing that, Janice warned him he would never get away with this. She would remember his face and tell the police. At this, he panicked and just lost control. He mustn't go back to prison. In a frenzy, he clubbed both girls unconscious with a pop bottle, and then he stabbed them repeatedly. Looking back at this moment 25 years later, he said, "I just went bananas. My head exploded." Losing control is a common enough scenario with all of us, although rarely does it have such tragic results. Now, at first glance, this doesn't appear to have much to do with anxiety. But what happened in Richard Robles' brain is an example of something that happens to all of us quite regularly. What happened is a part of his brain got set off and declared an emergency. So, research has shown that anxiety is not genetic. No one is actually born anxious. However, what we do have from birth is a brain that developed millions of years ago when the world was a dangerous jungle and when many animals hunted humans for food. Now, the human brain is not just one brain. Our brain actually developed over hundreds of thousands of years and is actually at least 3 different brains stacked on top of each other. So the neocortex, which is the most recent part of our brain, houses our personality and is the logical, thinking or rational part of the brain. But the most powerful part of the human brain is the emotional brain, which developed much, much earlier, sometimes known as our animal brain because we share this with most other animals. This emotional brain is very powerful, and in fact it has the power to take the whole brain over completely in emergencies. That's because it has a very, very vital job to keep us alive in the jungle. So in an emergency, such as we come face to face with a hungry tiger, the emotional brain or the animal brain reacts instantaneously and takes over the whole brain and the body. It fills our body with adrenaline and it gathers all our energy into our muscles so we are ready to run or fight the danger. To save time, it bypasses the thinking part of the brain completely. After all, assessing and analysing the danger would take far too long and mean death in the jungle. So our thinking brain, the neocortex, stops working temporarily. So we literally can't think clearly till the panic subsides. Have you ever noticed how when you're really anxious, scared or angry, you just can't think straight? Well, we're designed that way. So you see the problem. Our automatic reactions are completely inappropriate in today's world. We react to a debt letter like it's a saber-toothed tiger, and we get in a panic. And until our logical brain can kick back in, we can't tell there's actually no real life-threatening danger. And our logical brain can't kick in when we're in the panic state. So the story of the career girl murders, which was all over the news in 1963, is just a very graphic and extreme example of how the emotional brain proclaims an emergency and then takes over the rest of the brain before the thinking brain can even glimpse what's happening, let alone decide if it's a good idea or not. And this is what everyone's brain does. In fact, it happens with all strong emotions, including positive ones, such as the time in 1994 when Jannsen finally won the Olympic gold medal for speed skating. At this point, he had already suffered years of heartbreaking failures and had vowed to win gold for his dying sister. His wife was so overcome with excitement and happiness that she had to be rushed to the emergency physicians at the rinkside. So whatever strong emotions you feel, even overwhelming ones, your brain is functioning perfectly normally. And if you're anxious, then your animal brain is just a bit trigger happy. It's a bit too quick to declare an emergency, and it's also rather inaccurate, so it imagines threats where they don't exist. So how can you apply this to you to help you? Well, we've trained our brains by responding immediately to anxious feelings. Our brain just mistook a parking ticket for a hungry lion. So the anxiety, the fight, flight, freeze response, is inappropriate, a mistake. And instead of the thinking or rational brain stepping in and saying, hold on, there's no real life-threatening danger here, we've bought into the animal brain's reaction that there is immediate danger, rather than just its error of judgment. The real fact is, we don't live in the jungle anymore, and nothing we are likely to encounter will ever require us to run away, fight, or freeze. And that's all the anxiety response is for. It's just a great big, outdated mistake. So you can untrain and retrain your brain in the same way you trained it in the first place, by not reacting immediately to the anxious feeling and instead seeing the anxiety is based on a mistake and on a trigger-happy animal brain. Don't buy into it. So instead of responding to anxiety immediately like you did before, just wait a second, take a deep breath and remind yourself that this doesn't mean anything. It's just learned behaviour and an automatic animal response. Your brain is giving you false information that will only keep you stuck in anxiety. Instead, allow yourself a few seconds to untense your body, breathe deeply and calm down. This will also enable your rational or thinking brain to kick in. And remember, you can solve the problem much more effectively when you're calm. And finally, treat yourself like a frightened animal, because when your animal brain has taken over, that's what you are, or a frightened child. How do you deal with a frightened animal? By being very gentle. You can't tell an animal off for being frightened, can you? Say, oh, you silly thing, it's just, you're getting scared. You talk soothingly. You say things like, it's okay, you're quite safe, everything's all right. Treat yourself with kindness and allow your thinking brain to take over. Don't do anything, refuse to do anything while your animal brain is in charge. And at first, the animal brain will keep trying to go back to the problem and worry about it, whatever it is, telling you you've got to give it your immediate attention. But it's only doing what it's always done. And this time, you can refuse to obey it. After all, it's the animal. You're the human. So be firm. Just make a rule for yourself not to think about problems or try to solve anything while you're feeling anxious. And your animal brain is retrainable, and it will eventually get the message that there's nothing to run away from. You might have to be firm with yourself for a bit, but like any animal, your animal brain can be trained, and the automatic anxiety response will disappear over time. This will enable you to successfully and calmly deal with whatever you encounter in life, and you will build self-esteem, giving you more confidence in yourself and your capability. So now for lesson 2. And remember, we've still got the free gift coming later. So for this lesson, I want to cover something that you're probably doing right now, and it's probably something you've been doing for years, and it's actually making your anxiety worse. And it's so natural to do this, we often do it without even realizing. Do you undermine yourself or beat yourself up? So do any of these apply to you? Do you feel guilty or blame yourself a lot? Do you find you can't forgive yourself for something in the past? Do you doubt yourself and your ability, or have a low opinion of yourself, or not really trust yourself? do you beat yourself up for things? Or maybe you forget to praise yourself or find it difficult to accept praise from others. Well, I had the whole lot. I felt guilty a lot, even when I did nothing wrong. I was always ticking myself off, beating myself up. I just thought I was a terrible person for things I'd done in the past, and I couldn't forgive myself for them. I was sure I was pretty useless at most things. I just didn't like or approve of myself at all. But I hadn't actually realised these were just opinions about myself. For me, I thought that was the absolute truth. I hated myself even more during that unhappy period I mentioned earlier. But looking back, I can see it was just an increase of what had already always been there, but I just hadn't been aware of it. So if you have opinions like these about yourself, it really impacts you, especially your mood and overall happiness. It's crazy, really. We criticize ourselves all day and then we wonder why we feel bad. The mind is a computer, so your brain is a computer, and everything it's told goes in and programs it. In fact, for your entire life, you've been programming and reprogramming your computer brain. How are you doing this? Through the way you talk to yourself. That's the main source. Every thought you think, every word you say to yourself or to others, your brain takes as fact. You make a mistake and tell yourself, oh, how stupid I am. Your brain takes it on board as the absolute truth that you're stupid. So have you heard of GIGO? It stands for garbage in, garbage out. And what does that mean? Well, it's simple. The way you talk to yourself dictates your results in life. Everything you tell yourself is like programming your computer, and then it spits it back out at you in the quality of your performance. So the quality of your results in life can't possibly be better than the quality of the information that you feed in. If you tick yourself off all the time and tell yourself you're no good, stupid, or you can't do it, then just as night follows day, that's the results that you're going to get out of life. The results of someone who's no good and who can't do it. And this was me. I literally put garbage in and I got garbage out in terms of my performance. I was convinced I was useless at my job, so guess what? My performance went downhill. I was making elementary mistakes, overlooking things, forgetting things. And the more I told myself off for these mistakes, the more mistakes I made. And so the more I hated myself. And of course I had plenty of proof that I was right about how useless I was. It really was a vicious circle. And I also became very self-conscious, worried about how other people were judging me. So think of the most successful people that you know. They don't speak to themselves that way, do they? When they do well, they pat themselves on the back and they praise themselves. But of course, you say, that's perfectly right. Success earns praise. Success deserves praise. And failure deserves punishment, right? Actually, no, not at all. Now, here's a secret about successful people. Are you ready? They praise themselves all the time. They don't wait till after they have achieved something to do that. The praise comes first. And when I say praise, what I mean is they think well of themselves before they even try and do anything. They don't try and earn approval. They approve of themselves anyway, already, however well or badly they do. They think and speak positively of themselves. They encourage themselves. And they tell themselves, you're great, you can do it. They're happy with every tiny thing they do well. And that is what builds up into the bigger successes that they achieve later. Now think about what you do in comparison. Do you dwell on the things you get wrong, You beat yourself up for them again and again. Do you overlook the little successes and forget to praise yourself? Do you think you have to earn your own approval? Or do you think you can only approve of yourself if others approve of you? So you're always looking for other people to validate you instead of accepting yourself as you are. Sound familiar? The way it really works is praise leads to success. The praise comes first and the success follows. That's how it works. The praise and acknowledgement comes first, unconditionally. Happy people think well of themselves and they speak well of themselves, which gives them a healthy self-respect. And notice I say they think well of themselves. They don't put other people's judgments ahead of their own. And surprisingly enough, other people then tend to think well of them too, because when you feel happy in yourself, others tend to feel happier around you. And look, everyone makes mistakes. The most successful and loved people make mistakes just like you and me. The only difference is they don't beat themselves up so much for them. They don't torment themselves again and again. They learn what they can, let it go, and move on. And it's the same with you. How you speak to yourself is just a habit you've built up over time, and habits can be changed. So how to do this? Just praise yourself now for everything you do. Feel pleased with yourself when you get out of bed, when you eat a healthy snack. Quietly pat yourself on the back every time you walk somewhere instead of driving or taking the bus. And don't ever, ever criticize yourself for the times you do eat too much, or you get up late, or you forget to take exercise, or you lose your temper, miss a deadline, forget to take the washing out, and so on. Just refuse to criticize yourself for anything, in fact. And little by little, as you build up a new habit, a habit of speaking kindly to yourself, a habit of encouraging yourself for the small things, that will then enable you to accomplish bigger and better things gradually. And by doing that, you'll be more successful, effective, and happy. If you wait till you achieve great things before you feel good about yourself, you'll be waiting a long, long time. Love and accept yourself unconditionally now, and you will start to see dramatic results in your ability, satisfaction, and happiness. You will become one of those people that you admire and someone that others respect and listen to. So, lesson 3. Something you can do to reduce your anxiety that is so simple and fundamental that you've been overlooking it and you may not even have thought about it. So let me start by telling you about my friend Kate. She got very anxious in certain work situations. So how it worked was this. She'd be faced with a difficult task. She would have the thought, I can't do this. And that was that. Bang, overwhelm, panic, and full-blown anxiety. So as we have seen, even though our anxiety may appear to be caused by the events or circumstances in our lives, it actually is already inside us, remember, in our brain. Our brain works that way. So it's not caused by outside events. We just have a reaction to those events that we have practiced so many times, it has become habitual or automatic. Well, every emotion is like that, actually. It's within us already, not outside. It doesn't come from outside. And it's brought on by a set of habitual behaviours that we do, that we're completely unconscious of. Actually, there are 3 things that we do in our behaviour, only 3 things that are responsible for which emotion that we're feeling at any time. Tony Robbins calls this the Triad. And if you can learn to control those 3 things, you have complete control over how you're feeling. And you can also change how you feel at any time you choose. You can literally choose how you want to feel and then feel that way. Imagine if you had the power to turn yourself around into a positive state anytime you want. So you can actually create an enthusiastic, happy or motivated state of mind, even when you were feeling down. And that's what I'm about to show you. Now, it is a skill, and like any skill, you'll get better the more you do it. But then it's something that you can use for the rest of your life. So what are those 3 key things? Well, what you do with your body is the first one, like how you're moving, and especially how you breathe. Second thing is what you're focusing on, or what you're concentrating on. And finally, it's what you're saying, either out loud or in your head. And you can change any one of those things and you will change how you feel. Change all 3 and you will completely change how you feel at that moment. So this lesson is about what you do with your body and particularly your breath, the first one. And astonishingly, how you breathe is actually one of the biggest things that affect our worry or anxiety levels. We've had plenty of practice, and yet most of us breathe incorrectly. Incorrect breathing can cause anxiety, stress, and even depression. When you become slightly upset or pressured in the moment, or spend too much time sitting in one position, this interferes with the natural motion of the lungs, chest, and shoulders. So you're already breathing a little bit shallowly. And then it can accelerate like this. A momentary stress causes the body to tense, and you begin to breathe a little more shallowly. A shallow breath then lowers the oxygen levels in the blood, which the brain interprets as stress. So the brain starts to get ready for an emergency. Breathing then becomes a little faster and shallower, because that's how the body gets ready for an emergency. So oxygen levels fall a little more. The heart begins to race, the brain feels even more stressed, and so on. It's a downward spiral, or as we call it, a vicious circle. Correct breathing, on the other hand, is so easy that we all did it as babies, completely naturally. So when we were babies, we all breathed perfectly. It's a natural instinct for us. If you look at a baby, they will most likely need no instructions on how to breathe in a slow, even, regular way, or in how to relax. Their little tummies rise and fall with each breath quite naturally. A gently rising and falling breath stimulates the parts of the brain and nervous system responsible for creating a sense of calm tranquility. Soothing hormones then flow through the body, calming negative thoughts. You begin to relax and breathe even more slowly and deeply, and so it goes. Thus it becomes an upward spiral of calmness. So breathing properly literally makes you feel calmer. There's another thing as well that you can do if you do feel stressed. As well as just breathing calmly, you can actually extend the out-breath for a bit longer than the in-breath. This will stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system and make us feel relaxed and happy. In fact, in situations of stress, you can calm down very quickly by breathing in sharply and then deliberately extending the out-breath, which has an immediate calming effect. You can see for yourself how you breathe. So you can do this either lying down or sitting up. So put one hand on your stomach and one hand on your chest, and then notice the movements of the hands as you breathe. If you're breathing correctly, the hand on your stomach comes out or rises as you inhale, and then goes in or lowers as you exhale. The hand on your chest moves much less. This is called abdominal breathing. Now I know we all have a hectic life. There's a million things that need to be done. And in today's lifestyle, we're busier than we've ever been before. And that's the beauty of learning to breathe. It literally takes 5 minutes a day. So just do a bit of abdominal breathing through the lower part of your lungs every day for 5 minutes. While you're doing it, you can focus your attention on the in-breath and the out-breath. Also how your hands are moving, and notice any other feelings in your body. Just a few minutes a day is scientifically proven to calm worry, reduce blood pressure, improve heart rhythm, reduce certain epileptic seizures, sharpen mental performance, making you more effective in every area of your life, improve your blood circulation. Also, following a heart attack, this helped people's heart to heal much quicker, and it can reduce panic attacks within just a couple of weeks. What an amazingly powerful tool breathing is. The power of breathing is because of the way your breath reflects and amplifies your emotion. Breathing is also the cornerstone of mindfulness, which has been clinically proven to beat depression and enhance happiness, clarity of thought, and even decision making and creativity. The other reason why breathing is so effective is that breathing enables you to relax, which, if you're anxious, you may not find easy to do. Your ability to relax properly affects your energy levels during the day, how tired you get, and also the quality of your sleep. So learning to breathe will just dramatically increase your overall well-being. You'll feel better in every way. And who wouldn't want that? So I promised you earlier that I would teach you 3 things, and that's what I've done. I taught you first how anxiety seems to be caused by outside events, but actually comes from inside the brain's response, plus how to calm this response. Then I showed you how to stop running yourself down, and instead, this will enable you to start to discover what you're really capable of. And finally, I showed you how to correct one of the most common but hidden and overlooked contributors to anxiety. So how did I do? Did I do okay? I really hope you think I did. And I'm confident that if you switch off the webinar right now, these things that you've learned today will serve you for the rest of your life. But I hope you don't switch it off. Look, here's the real opportunity I see for you. To achieve lasting peace of mind, to be able to take control of your well-being, to be able to move forward in life without fear or anxiety holding you back, being confident without doubting yourself, and loving your life. The good news is it's not about whether you have the actual ability to do this right now, okay? It's literally about just taking one step with plenty of help and guidance. And then you can learn the rest as you go. And all you need is 3 things to win. You need the right tools, you need the right methodology, and you need the right help. So, what now? Well, it's really simple. You've got 2 choices, right? You can just click this away and forget everything I've just been talking about. Although that does mean you go back to your old results. Or if you want something different and change your life in this area, then here's how I can help. And here is the free gift worth £120 that I promised you at the beginning of this class. So congratulations. Would you like me to give you a plan to achieve a life of vibrant happiness and well-being? I'm happy to help you develop this plan to overcome anxiety and self-doubt and find lasting peace of mind. This way, you'll be able to really enjoy your life without wasting your time worrying or fearing the future. I offer this service because I'm a coach specializing in helping busy people overcome stress and anxiety and go on to achieve confidence, peace of mind, and fulfillment in life. And there's a pretty good chance that you have a challenge in overthinking things, beating yourself up, and doubting yourself and your ability. So if you find that my way of solving this is valuable, you could become a client. And if this is the case, then my rates start at £520 per month. But let me make something very clear. Please understand I'm not offering you a sales pitch in disguise. In fact, I promise not to pressure you or pester you at all. In fact, time is the most precious commodity of all. So if you feel I've wasted your time in any way, then I'll immediately send you £50 and a copy of my book, The Ultimate Guide to Stress and Anxiety, to compensate you. And we part as friends. Does this sound fair? So I've set aside some time in the next 48 hours to speak to 15 people only about how you can apply these ideas to your life starting today. Remember, whatever your biggest problem is, I know how to solve it. So on a 45-minute call, I will help you in 3 ways. Firstly, I'll talk to you about your biggest challenge right now. Secondly, I'll help you solve it. And thirdly, I will set out a step-by-step plan as to how you can reach your end goal without fear and worry getting in the way. So who is this for? If you live a busy life and want to be able to enjoy it, free from worry and stress. If you're willing, with support, to take control of your well-being and your life. If you're willing to be open-minded in your outlook. And if you're committed to achieving results for yourself. So if you can say yes to all of this, then I'm happy to help you for free in a 45-minute breakthrough call. So if this sounds like you, then here's what to do next. Just simply schedule a call with me by simply clicking the link you now see. Then afterwards, you'll see a form with a few questions about you, just a few, and what you're looking to accomplish. So once I have that information, I can put together some things that I know will help you take back control over your well-being, reclaim your peace of mind, and be free to really enjoy life. So click the button you now see. There's a 48-hour window for 15 people. And remember, on the 45-minute call, I'll help you in 3 ways. I'll talk to you about your biggest challenge right now. I will help you solve it. And I will set out a step-by-step plan as to how you can reach your end goal